Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call to order June 22nd PZBA meeting. Jan, roll call, please. Oh, at 7:03.
Chairman Machi.
Here.
Kempa.
Here.
Chairman DeGraff. Commissioner DeGraff.
Here.
Commissioner Patel has called in with prior notice. Commissioner Sayward.
Here.
Commissioner Weigel is absent by prior notice. Commissioner Simmons.
Here.
And Commissioner Mishewski is absent by prior notice. We have a quorum.
Right. Okay, let's look at the meetings from, the meeting minutes from May 25th. Are there any corrections to the minutes as presented? I have one little for you, Janet, for you, Jen. It's a little typo. In section 5, Victor and.
Okay. Victor.
We can approve as amended.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other changes? If there are none, then can I please have a motion to approve the May 25th minutes as marked?
As amended. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstained.
One abstain, okay,
So that's a 301 and passes.
thank you. There's no old business, let's jump into new business. We have 3 public hearings today. The first one is a PZBA case number 23-06V. Applicant is Joy Quizano at 414 Cary Court, and the case is a public hearing seeking a variation to section 5-3-4G of the City of Prospect Heights zoning code to allow a playhouse in the front yard. The existing rear yard is a detention basin for the subdivision and Hines Road. Can I please have a motion to open public hearing case number 23-06V?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, can we get a briefing from,
Thank you, Chairman Kempa. The applicant, Ms. Casano, installed the existing play structure, playhouse in her front yard last year. We gave her a violation notice indicating that the playhouse was in the front yard in violation of the zoning code. She came in and met with staff and pointed to the fact that she has no rear yard, as it is a detention basin, and it's a steep drop in grade from about 3 to 3.5 feet in the rear yard. So she requested the opportunity to have a variation hearing on her play fort. That's why we are here today.
is the applicant present? If you could come up to the podium, I have to swear you in. Do you swear that your testimony that will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
And please
Come
have
up. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Okay. My name is Joy Quijano. My address is 414 Cary Court, Prospect Heights, 60070.
And if you could present your case to us, please.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I installed a playhouse in the front yard, and I didn't know that there's a law in the village that I cannot put it there. But the thing is, I cannot put a playhouse at the backyard because it's a retention basin. And then if it's rain, there's a lot of water, the whole thing. So, in other words, I cannot put a playhouse there at the backyard. So I put in the front yard, and then someone came that I cannot do it. So that's why I asked, just for space in the front yard that I can put that playhouse there.
Okay. That's it? Anything else?
That's all.
Okay.
We'll swear them in as a group of
And
everybody
we can ask the questions if we
Yes.
get to now. If we can, if any of the commissioners have questions, we can ask those now, and we can discuss later.
Questions in general or questions for her?
Questions for her.
Okay.
Questions for the applicant.
Okay.
Did you think of any other location that you possibly could have that? I mean, I know there is a great elevation in the back, but as far as what
Yeah,
about on
but
like the
there's a little, but if I'm gonna put the playhouse there, and then if the kids will stop and run, it go like this, so it's not safe for them. So it should be flat, the whole thing with the playhouse, because if there's a swing. So, yes.
Did you consider any of the, either of the side yards on the side of the house?
There's no, on the side yard, there's nothing there. That I can put that in the side yard.
Yeah.
How about if you broke that up and, because I was over there this afternoon looking at it. How about if you just put the swing set in the back? You know, make that two different, you just would need a couple pair of legs and you could probably
It's,
put,
Yeah, it's a whole part. I cannot break it into two, so it's one piece.
right.
No idea what that is.
Did the rules change since you bought the house, do you know? Or were you aware of that when you bought the
I
house?
did not know, I'm not aware of it.
Did they
because I
change
was-
while you were, since you bought it?
Sorry?
Did the rules or the regulations change since you bought it, or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think it's changed, but the thing is, I really don't know that I cannot put, because it's, as long as it's my property, you know, I can do whatever I wanted to, as long as I didn't bother with the neighbors or anything, because when I put the playhouse there, it's very far from the neighbor thing, yes.
And how long have you lived at that house?
We moved there October 21.
October
2
21.
years, almost 2
Okay.
years, yeah.
Okay. I have a question regarding this picture. There is something at the end of the driveway. What is that?
That's the end of the driveway.
Inside the fence area.
That's the small part at the back. The old owner, they put it kind of a small vegetable plant area there.
So it's a garden.
It's a garden.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
but it's, as I said earlier, it's a small and then slope.
Okay. I just didn't know what it was. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, can you hold until, you'll have an opportunity to speak in a minute. Thank you.
If there are no other questions, thank you for your testimony, and we can
Swear in the others.
swear in anybody else that would like to speak to this case from the public. Yeah, if anybody that wants to speak, if you could stand up, and I could swear you all in at the same time. Thank you, you can have this. Thank you.
Got the whole neighborhood.
Everybody stand up. Do you swear that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So if you would like to speak, if you could come up to the podium and state your name and address, and
Hi, I'm Robin Reedman, and I live right next door at 412 Cary Court.
Could you spell your last name for the record, please?
Sure, R-I-E, B as in boy, M-A-N.
Thank you.
Okay, just a couple things, and I've never met my neighbor, but she seems like a very nice person. You know, the first we saw of it was all of a sudden, there was a playground in the front yard. And if you're familiar with the area and the neighbors, it's an eyesore, really. It just looks bad. And there's usually never anybody playing there, except once in a while, there's like 8 kids playing there. So I don't know how many people actually live in that house, but, you know, the kids are out on the street, which if she's worried about safety in the backyard, but yet the kids are out right in the front by the street. We live next door now, I understand we have a slope too. I didn't know it was a retention area. These neighbors can talk more about that because they get more water, I think, than anybody. But, yeah, that's, my feelings are, it's out of place in the neighborhood. It's not necessary. I think, but I haven't looked that much, they put up a big fence, so I can't see over there, but it seems like there could be room for some kind of a play set in the back area where it should be. Okay?
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hello.
My name is Hyman Reedman, R-I-E-B-M-A-N, and I live with Robin at 412 Cary Court.
Could you say your first name again, please?
Hi, H-Y. Actually, it's Hyman, H-Y-M-A-N.
Great, thank you so
I
much.
cut a few letters off just to make it a little bit easier, just to say hi, and people
Yeah.
never forget my name. And I'm a retired lawyer, so I'm going to try not to talk like a practicing lawyer, and I'll get to the point. Having been on boards before in different villages, it can go very late. The matter that's before you is really very simple. The petition is asking to allow a variance for a playhouse. It's almost a misnomer to call it a playhouse because it's much larger than the little room that we would call a playhouse. It's playground equipment in the front of the yard. The ordinance, the ordinance that we have, which is an international ordinance, most cities use it, talk about in section 534, with regard to maintenance, it shall be defined as upholding the appearance so as to be homogeneous to the surrounding properties. And when I say homogeneous, I mean in like kind, something similar. And that doesn't mean everybody has the same house. Everybody has the same color. That means that the nature of the neighborhood stays the same. And by putting that type of equipment in the front lawn is difficult. I know the people are very nice people. I haven't met the owners. I met their son-in-law and two grandchildren that live there. Although I think him and his wife are moving pretty soon. They were looking for a house somewhere south. So the question is, in this case, number one, what does Prospect Heights do? Having been a lawyer a long time ago, I represented people in the suburbs, and invariably they put things up that they shouldn't put up. Sometimes it's something really big, and they have problems. And in this case, they come in and they can't understand why. But had they gone in, you probably would have talked with them, or maybe even come up with some type of a compromise. I don't know. But the statute that deals with this, which is a statute that you referred to a few minutes ago, deals with what can and can't be in a yard, and it's basically cut and dried. And it says in the statute, as you look along the boxes for each division, if they've put an F in the box, that denotes that it can be put in a particular location. And the first section is F, front lawn. With regard to that section, if you look down to accessory buildings, which is what I think it was referred to as, although I think it's more likely, the playhouse and the playground, more likely to be a structure. In either event, if you look at the statute, dealing with both types of property, however you want to identify the equipment that's there, you'll see that there is no box in that section, which means it's not supposed to, and I understand the board has a right to make a change, but by making that change, well, I'll mention it in just a second. I did a little bit of research because I was curious. I wondered, this can't possibly be the first time this has happened in a village, whether it be in Illinois or somewhere else. And I went through different villages, and almost uniformly, almost 100%, not one allows anything like that in a front yard. In Deerfield, they talk about setbacks. Tree houses are not allowed in required front or side yard, not allowed in front or side yard setback in Deerfield, so they don't allow that in the front yard. In Lincolnshire, they're not allowed, whether it's a swing set or a playhouse, not allowed in a front yard. They're allowed in a backyard. Highwood also describe children's playhouses. They refer to it as an accessory building. Shall be located in the rear yard. Vernon Hills and similar structures, speaking of the swing sets and the playhouse, similar structures shall be located in the rear yard only, which is basically, I think there was one more, Northfield, language again, shall not be located in the front yard. So what's going on in the North Shore and Northwest community is that's how most of the villages have taken a look at it. Now, you know, I was talking to my wife, and she said maybe there's a compromise. Maybe the swing set and the playhouse are right in between our two houses, and when my grandchildren come over, they would be thrilled. They'd probably rather run over to the playground than they would, doing some of the. Oh, she comes up with interesting things for the kids to do. Me, not so much. In any event,
It's quite close to our line.
yeah, maybe there is room in between the two houses where it's out of view from people that are driving by and coming by. Again, I don't know the answer to that question. I looked at it and, I couldn't focus as to whether the size of the equipment. I see a lot of kids using it, and as I see it, some things are sometimes cut and dry. I learned over the years that that's not really always true. But in this instance, this is the law, and it's the law in many of the villages and cities in this community. And I think that, and I understand having represented people that have put things in their property and found out later on they shouldn't have, and now they've got to come back and go before a board and probably spend a lot of dough coming before the board, and sometimes end up, and I've had clients and they said, you must be a lousy lawyer, we lost, but they ended up having to pay a lot of money to have things removed, from their front yards, from their backyards. So I am sympathetic, but when they bought the property, and I've been living here for 13 years, my mother-in-law, how many years?
At least
10 years before us. So I'm familiar with the property, and I'm familiar with Ida, who was next door to us. May she rest in peace. What? Oh, okay. So this is why I don't talk much at home. That's why I used to go to work and I could say what I want. So I'm going to wrap it up because the real boss is talking. I lost my train of thought. The bottom line. I'm sorry. The bottom line is I feel sorry for the situation that they're in, but they bought the house. It wasn't a surprise that there was a drop-off. I think there's a way to put it in the backyard, towards the back. I don't know what the setback rules are from the house. I didn't look at those, but I still think it can work. And as far as water filling up, and we've had that from time to time, well, on those days, you don't play on the swing set. On those days, you don't go into the playhouse. So, because my wife said something, and not that you pushed me into ending, I'm going to stop at this point, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony.
Good evening, board members. My name is Todd Kaprak, K-A-P-R-A-K. Our residence is 410 Cary Court. We've lived there for 15 years, and we have 3 kids. And when we moved in, if you look at the Plata survey, I don't know the exact, I didn't look at it before I came, but at least 80% of my backyard is water retention. I have the biggest plot that you can't put any structures on, and because of that, we weren't able to put in a swing set. And the good news is that within a mile radius, there's more than three or 5 parks. And matter of fact, when my daughter was young, she could do anything she wanted. She's like, I want to go to 3 parks. So we did that in one day, and it's very easy to do because there's lots of parks in our neighborhood. I don't know if there's much I can add beyond that. I know it's a difficult thing, but I think I'd like to uphold what the zoning is currently. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kristen Kaprag, and I live at 410 Cary Court. And I just wanted to say that, when you look, I don't think there's much I could add after you, but when you look at, the outside of a house, it's like the cover of a book, right? And you get an impression. And that affects, a feeling that someone gets when they're, looking to buy a house, looking to be in a neighborhood. It's a feeling. And when you look at a playground in a front yard, it detracts from that feeling of like, this is a nice place I want to be. And so, there are reasons for these zoning laws or whatever they are, and that I feel like, it's a good one. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on up. Oh, let me swear you in. I don't know if you got sworn in.
I don't think I got sworn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you swear that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Edin Pekovic.
Please spell the last name for the record.
Pekovic.
Thank you. And your address?
What's that?
Your address?
1210 Woodview Drive, Prospect Heights.
Thank you.
Yeah, so pretty much like my neighbors have said, I think it's an eyesore as well when you're driving by there. All of our landscape is beautiful, nice, upkept, everything in front. I think it's really just kind of bad to look at, and also for safety-wise, it's pretty much like 10 to 15 feet away from the street. So if you're talking about safety, cars go by there daily, pretty much every 10 minutes there's a car going by there. And I have a retention too, water retention all around my house, and my kids would love a play set, but I'm like, we can't put it up, so that's it. I'm not putting it up in front of my house. It's gonna look terrible, and I think it ruins the value too of the rest of our houses. Anybody driving around there, they're gonna be like, this place is kind of getting, less and less what we thought it would be. So that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up. Did you get sworn in?
No, she did not.
No. Do you swear that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
My name is Natalia Kolesnikov, N-A-T-A-L-Y-A, Natalia, K-O-L-E-S-N-I-K-O-V.
And your address?
I live at the 1209 Woodview Drive.
Thank you.
I just want to say about the safety of the children, because, this playground located, because it's in front of the house. So when we drive, there is a street. When we drive around, so kids are playing, and you cannot just tell them, no, don't go. Because I had a situation when I was driving to work, and the little girl, her ball, she was playing with the ball, and ball just went to the exact right in front of my car. So, you just have to stop like this. So my concern is about safety of children. And this is not just nice, how can I say? Because you just feel nervous all the time when you're just driving by this house, when children presented around. They're not always there. I don't know how this family lives, so sometimes it's just absolutely empty place. Sometimes it's just a bunch of children, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, so how many children? And it's not, and when you just drive there, so you don't feel good about it because children should not be. I think we all houses around, we all have pretty big backyards. My little playground for my grandson, it's in the backyard. So no one has anything on the front yard. We have families with children. Everyone can manage having their playgrounds or something for kids on the backyard, not on the front. So this is what I wanted to say. Okay.
Thank you for your testimony. Do we have anybody else?
She was not sworn in.
Do you swear that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
My name is Jacqueline Marikina, Mariquina. I live at 1430 Cornell Court, Wheeling, Illinois. And I just want to say, I know that there's a lot of people saying no for this thing. I just think that I get what they're asking for because in my property, I'm against Hintz Road, and we do have small backyards. You really can't, there's no room for a playset there. For my children, when we play outside, it's mostly the front yard because that is where the space we have. I do understand what people are saying about it might be cluttered, there might be safety issues, there's the view and being able to see whether it's pleasing to the eye for property value, but perhaps maybe depending on the size that's allowed, that could be something that's thought about. I'm not sure if it was described on what exactly the place that's going to be provided, but maybe we could just give some guidelines in regards to that. In our neighborhood, yes, the kids do play outside. Yes, the kids do cross the street, but there's really no space allowed really in our backyards for them to be able to run around in that way, and that's why it's a lot of front yard playing in our entire neighborhood. So whether you put a play set there or not, the kids are still going to play in the front yard regardless. Perhaps it'd just be a size thing in order to be able to make it more pleasing. It's not a giant structure, but I think it should still be allowed. All right? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
If there's no other public testimony from the audience, the city did receive 2 letters and this week. The first one is from Rick and Dinah Sternquist at 406 Cary Court. Dear members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, I hope this letter finds you in good health and high spirits. I'm writing to express my strong opposition to the playhouse in the front yard at 414 Cary Court, Prospect Heights. I firmly believe that allowing such a structure in this location goes against the spirit and purpose of the zoning regulations, and it would have a detrimental effects on our community. First and foremost, placement of the playhouse in the front yard would significantly diminish the aesthetic appeal of our neighborhood. Front yards are typically designed to enhance the overall visual harmony of the area, creating a welcoming and pleasing environment for residents and visitors alike. A playhouse with its unique design and playful elements would disrupt the cohesive character of the neighborhood and negatively impact property values. Furthermore, the proposed playhouse encroaches on the limited space available in the front yard. This would result in a reduction of open space, hindering the ability of the neighboring properties to maintain a balanced environment. It could lead to an overcrowded appearance, obstructed views, and potentially create safety hazards such as limited visibilities for pedestrians and drivers. In addition to the negative visual aspects and spatial impact, the playhouse disrupts the tranquility and peace of the neighborhood. Play activities, especially in a confined area like the front yard, often generate noise and increase foot traffic. This can disrupt the peace and quiet that residents value in their homes,
causing disturbances and inconveniences for nearby households. I would like to emphasize that my opposition to the Playhouse is not a reflection of my disregard for the importance of play and recreational activities for children. On the contrary, I recognize the significance of providing children with a safe and engaging space to play. However, I believe that the front yard of a residential property is not an appropriate location for such a structure, considering the potential negative consequences it would impose on the community. In conclusion, I respectfully request that you deny the request for allowing a playhouse in the front yard at 414 Cary Court by upholding the zoning regulations and protecting the interests of the community. We can ensure that our neighborhood maintains its charm, peacefulness, and property values. Thank you for your time and consideration. I trust that you will carefully evaluate the concerns raised in this letter and make a decision that reflects the best interests of our community. Should you require further information or wish to discuss this matter in detail, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Rick Sternquist. That will be entered in as exhibit number 10 to the packet. The second letter was received from Ross and Josephine Caladrino, 413 Cary Court. I'm writing to you today to express my concerns about the playhouse that was recently built in the front yard at 414 Cary Court. I believe that this playhouse violates the zoning regulations of our city, and I'm asking you to take action to have it removed. I believe the zoning regulations of Prospect Heights state that no accessory structure shall be located in the front yard of a residential property. The playhouse that was built at 414 Cary Court clearly located in the front yard, and it is therefore in violation of the zoning regulations. In addition to violating the regulations, the playhouse is an eyesore. It is a large, brightly colored structure that is out of place in our neighborhood. It also blocks the view of the street from my house, which I find very annoying. I understand that the owners of 414 Cary Court may have built the playhouse for their children, but I believe they should have considered the impact that it would have had on their neighbors. The playhouse is a nuisance, and I believe it should be removed. I urge you to take action to the playhouse, have the playhouse at 414 Cary Court removed. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Ross and Josephine Caladrino. That will go into the record as exhibit number 11. Thank you.
If there's no other public testimony, I'm going to close the public hearing. We can have a discussion afterwards.
You might want to give the applicant a chance to cross or make a statement.
If the applicant would like to cross the residence and provide any additional testimony, you're more than welcome to.
You please come up to the mic. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to say I'm so sorry you feel that way, I mean, as I said, kids, they love to play. We cannot put our kids inside the house all the time, because I didn't know when I buy that house that, kids are not allowed. I don't want.
It's okay.
Just take a deep breath.
Take your time.
May I ask how many children she has?
In a minute, if you want to raise that at her, let her speak.
Yeah, because when I bought that house, I'm looking for that house because I love the house. It's a first floor, and my husband got accident in 2021. So I'm looking for a house that just go in right away. And then it's a big, playhouse, backyard or front yard. So it's not fair that I bought that house that, that all the kids cannot play. That's why I bought the house, so that they can play whatever, as long as inside the property. I didn't bother the neighbor. And then if the kids will play there, there's adult watching. So of course, I know how you feel that you're driving, that you're scared. Of course, I feel that too. But there's an adult watching. They cannot go outside if there's no adult watching. So it's safe, but if, I just want to guarantee you that they're safe. I don't want you to feel that way. But I just wanna let them enjoy what we have. That's why we bought that house.
And
That's all. I'm so sorry. I just feel so emotional.
Yeah, we understand.
Yeah, because they enjoy it. They enjoy, I mean, you don't know how they feel when they go out, when they go and play. They enjoy it. That's the reason why, you know, that's kids. You have to give whatever they want. They want playhouse. You can build a house, playhouse for them. That's the way parents do, you know. Give them.
So I'm going to make a suggestion. So when we look at this, we have to look at the law and the evidence presented. And we have a set of questions that we have to ask ourselves, and we have to answer those questions in a positive way to allow the variance. So variances are allowed all the time in the city for various reasons. So when we look at this, one of the questions are the property values of the surrounding properties going to stay at the current level or go up? And to me, that answer is no. The second, because it is considered an eyesore. So regardless of what you know your view might be, the public opinion is that that brings down the property values. So that's one of the questions that we have to. So we can't really go by emotion. We have to go by a set of rules.
I understand that, but you know, they grow. The playhouse don't stay there forever.
Oh, I know, because I bought one and they played on it once, and then
So, do you think that when they're a teenager, they can do that? No, of course, we can remove that. But
So-
right now, they're still young babies, they want to play. So, if, you know, the value thing, I mean,
So think about this. So we're going to deliberate. I'm going to tell you that I am leaning towards a no vote because of the various questions that I had to ask myself, and my answers lean towards no. So think about any other possible solution. There might be. So we will discuss those. But think of an alternative solution. See if we can come to a compromise. See if you see any other compromise. So then we can discuss it. I will have to close the public hearing sometime today, and we will deliberate. But keep in mind that I'm going to tell you that I'm leaning towards a no right now at this point.
and also, when I bought that house, I didn't know that the backyard is retention basin.
Mm-hmm.
So when rain, we didn't know that it stopped there. And then that's when I go to, when I saw all the plan, I didn't even know. And there's a big basin there, that all the waters from the neighbor, both neighbors and also the Hinge Road goes to my backyard. I didn't complain about that, because I don't know. I thought it's just like this because it's slow. When I found out it's just a retention basin, there's a big basin there. So if I can do something about the backyard, if I can stop the basin, if I can put some soil there to make it level, I can do that if you will allow me. Then I don't care about the neighbor's water. That's there because all their water is coming, my neighbors, and also on both sides, and also the Hinge Road, it goes all my backyard.
I understand the desire to do something to that regard. The issue is when that subdivision, the whole Cary Court subdivision was developed and designed. It's a Cook County requirement and the subdivision requirement to control stormwater. And because of the location they Henson, because of the location of how the subdivision worked, those basins were designed and approved. So any alteration would not be allowed and would have to go to Cook County, and they're not going to do that. So that's, I understand you did not know when you bought the house, but there should have been some due diligence on the part of a real estate agent at that point in time to help you with that decision. Not knowing does not grant automatic permission to do something in violation.
Because there's none, and then all of a sudden there's like 12. It almost seems like a daycare.
No, three kids stay regular, but weekends, another 4 kids coming.
Yeah, that's
So
what I
just
thought.
the weekends, they come another 4.
Got it. You thought it was a daycare running out of there?
Let's watch, excuse me. Before you start answering over there, we need to kind of keep things here, and questions should, if you're under oath, you can direct the questions here to the board and they can ask the questions so we don't get into a debate back and forth, please. Thank you.
Okay, if there is no other testimony, I'd like a motion to close public hearing number 23-06V.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Or Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Chairman Kempa.
Aye. That was at 7:44, Jen.
Mhm.
Okay, commissioners' comments.
Well, I have a couple clarifications I wanted to make. To your point, it is against the zoning regulations to have a structure in the front yard, but that's why we're here. We can grant a variation. And as our chairman was saying, we have to meet certain standards to be able to grant a variation. And so it's got to be pretty black and white if a variation should be accepted or not. And I guess the one that I'm having trouble with is the special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved, which are not applicable to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same district. And what I'm hearing is that quite a few people have the same situation in their backyard. So it's not unique to this property that she has a detention area in her backyard only, but that whole area probably along Hintz and probably other areas within the subdivision that have the same situation. So if we would grant that variation here, we might be opening it up to other people that would want to put a place structure in their front yard because it's not unique. It's not that we're against kids playing in the front yard. I think that you're right, sometimes they just need to vent and run around, and if there's adult supervision, there's nothing wrong with that. But having a structure to have the kids play is something a little bit different. And what I would, you talked about kind of a compromise, so the structure should be in the backyard, but if there's a way even to tuck it into a side yard, I think that would be a solution that we could maybe look at. You mentioned that there's the garden that's behind the fence and just past your driveway. And I know you said it's a one-piece structure it's fairly big. Well, if you could modify it in such a way that maybe you put the swing set in one area and maybe a slide somewhere else, or modify the size of it, that would be a way to utilize that area that's still kind of flat at the end of your driveway. Or I don't know, on the other side, it looks like you've got quite a few trees. If you took a shrub or a tree out or something to open up an area, I think there's enough red flags here that it's not very cut and dry for me. And I would encourage you to look at other options, even if it's not in the backyard or the size that you want, but maybe to incorporate it in the side yard or break up the structure somehow. You have to be creative because it's a unique piece of property that you're dealing with. You have a slope. I mean, you might not need a slide if you got the kids could roll down the slope, right? So.
I concur with that. Even further, it does alter the essential character of the locality. As soon as you turn the corner, you see it, and I'm a real estate appraiser, so I'm looking at 5 or 6 houses every day, and that is definitely not in keeping with the character of the locality by any stretch of the imagination. And even number 7, the harmony and spirit in the intent of the title, I just don't think that, it doesn't belong there. It's too big. I think there are solutions that I think there's something you could figure out with the backyard. I'm not sure that it's up to us to give you those suggestions, but, you know, those things are modular. You could have a swing set, and when it's wet, I have a flat yard, but when it's wet, the kids don't go out there and play, or they do other things, but that's where it has nothing to do with children or anything like that. I'm just strictly going with the property values and the character of the neighborhood. It does not belong in front of the property. That's mine.
All of you is focusing about the property values. I mean, as I said earlier, that's wrong.
But it's not just the value, it's the character of the neighborhood.
I mean, I didn't know that, I thought that, you know, that house is that is there. So most of the people live there, it's all the time. Yeah.
And most of these play sets are in the back. That's the difference.
Director Peterson?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question? As far as, is the structure allowed in a detention area?
We have no specific rules because it's not a dedicated easement. An example I can give you is Arlington Heights has probably one of the largest detention areas off of Wilkie and Central Road. And there they have a golf range, they play softball, they play all kinds of things. However, when it rains, it becomes a lake for about a week. So there are activities that can be done. Wheeling just put in that park as part of the Des Plaines River flood basin. So there are options, it's just behavior of the users have to be regulated.
Would the city allow a structure such as this playhouse in that, or would she have to go through the zoning?
No, there's no restriction for putting that playhouse in that area.
Thank you.
So if it was built in the backyard, we wouldn't even be here?
Correct.
Anything else, John? So, to the applicant, I can make a suggestion. I would suggest that you ask for a continuation, which allows you to come up with a alternative solution, which later can amend this request, and it can be heard again.
It could be heard next month.
Right, it would be heard next month. Then we would consider that new application, that modified application. And if not, then I have to, then basically we have to go into a vote.
Is it okay if we can,
Sorry.
is it okay if we can just give us, you know, at least a year or 2 years? A year, and then I'll remove the playhouse?
Now, we have to vote on the application.
And you have a violation in place, correct?
Right.
Yeah, the structure was placed in the yard last year, so based on the violation notice, the applicant did respond. She did come in and want to find solutions, and that's why we are here this evening. So she has not tried to hide away from this, she has not tried to avoid the issue. It's, you know, while we were going through this administrative process, she's been allowed to keep it. So a decision will have to be made going forward, whether you ask for continuance for, as the chairman's offering to come back next month with, is there a different way in a different spot in the yard you can move it? Is there a different way to configure it that would be compliant? Or a vote will have to be taken this evening. So that's what the chairman has offered this evening.
Keep in mind that our vote is a recommendation to council. It's not a final vote. It would still go to the council for a final decision.
Okay, then I'll wait for another month then.
So you would need to just make a formal, just please state, I'm requesting a formal continuance
Okay.
until the July, you have a calendar?
July 27th.
July 27th. But prior to that, and I will contact you tomorrow, you will need to get me a set of plans 2 weeks prior to what your decision is. And you can always decide not to go forward with the continuation and let me know. Or you can come to me, to the city, and give me a plan that I can make sure gets to the PZBA members prior to the meeting.
Okay, I'll do that
Okay.
then.
And then we can then reconvene here next month to
Okay, that's July
27th.
27. Okay.
Well, we need to hear that statement that you are requesting a
Oh, I
continuation.
want to request another 1 month
Continuance.
continuance this coming July 27 until July 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we will, on Monday, you and I will have a conversation
Okay.
of what will be required for that continuation.
Okay, I'll
All
do
right.
that. What time do you want me to come on Monday?
9 a.m. is fine.
Okay.
Or any time during the day that's convenient for you. I'll be
okay with
here all
9.
day.
I'm okay with 9. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll do that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank
So
you.
we'll need to take a
Thank you for
formal-
everybody that came,
Yep.
too.
For everyone that's here, the public hearing will be the motion will come forward. We will not be sending out secondary notices. This will act as your notice. If there is a change and the decision is to withdraw, a notice will be put on next month's agenda. So you'll need to check the city's website. Okay?
All right, can I have a motion to continue case number, I lost my case number.
Right here.
Continue case number 23-06V.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please, Jen.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons. Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Chairman Kempa.
Aye.
So this will come back on July 27th at 7 PM here at City Hall in the same place. Thank you very much.
Good evening, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, our second public hearing today is a PZBA case number 23-08P. The applicant is Steve Peterson. The address is 200 West Willow. Public hearing seeking a variation to section 5-3-4 H1F2 of the City of Prospect Heights zoning code to allow the reduction of the required corner yard setback from 25 feet to 10 feet for the construction of a 4-foot chain link fence. Can I see, please, have a motion to open public hearing 23-08V?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
7:56.
Motion at 7:56. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Chairman Kempa.
Aye. Can we get a briefing, Mr. Peterson?
This is situation, Mr. Peterson lives at the corner of Willow and Elm at the northwest corner. He has a rear yard that does have a significant hedgerow, about the same place as he's asking for the variation. He's in this evening because he's acquired a pet that needs to be contained. And he's here to present his case. I do want to say all the exhibits were prepared by Mr. Peterson.
Right.
Saved me a lot of time, thank you, sir.
Great job, too.
We could ask the applicant to come up to the podium. I can swear you in. Do you swear that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Steve Peterson, 200 West Willow Road, Prospect Heights, Illinois, 60070. So we adopted a rescue dog, and we'd like to be able to build a fence to allow her to free rein, but according to the zoning laws, I would have to have the fence almost in line with my house, and I would lose a big portion of my backyard. So I just would like the 15-foot more variance so that I could put the fence right next to the hedgerow on the inside of the hedgerow. It's going to be black chain link to match neighbor on the other side. I don't think anyone will even see it, but since it doesn't meet, I'm requesting the variance.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners
So-
to the applicant at this point?
You also stated that your hardship for building it as per the setback requirement is that it would go down the service walk, correct?
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think in the exhibit, it shows right where that 25-foot line is. It's right in the middle of the sidewalk that goes around the back of the house. So to me, it doesn't make sense to put a fence in the middle of the sidewalk. And we'd like to be able to use that sidewalk and put a walk-through gate there, and then next to it, 5-foot gates, dual gates, so that if I need to get back there with a car or something, I can, get in there. To me, it would be a lot of wasted yard, and I think it would look worse to put it where, on the 25-foot line, rather than next to a hedgerow where you probably won't even see it walking by. And I did go visit each of my adjacent neighbors and explained, and they all signed something saying that they're okay with it, so I just would like to maximize the use of the backyard.
Yeah. Any other questions from the commissioners to the applicant? Okay, I have no other questions. If anybody, thank you very much for your testimony.
Oh, can I ask one more? Sorry.
Sure.
So what about maintaining the hedgerow? Is there a certain distance from the hedgerow that you think you should stay back to
Well,
be able
it's-
to cut branches or rake leaves or?
I don't think so. It's pine trees, small black spruce, Black Hill spruce pine trees, and just, there's perennials there, so I really don't think there'll be an issue there. And if I needed to, I could get it from the outside of the hedgerow.
Okay.
I have a question for Director Peterson. We've allowed this before on a property on the corner of Elm and as you head towards the library. The first cross street as we're heading for the library, when you cross Willow, Elm Street.
To Olive.
On Kenilworth and 83.
That one too, yes, we did.
And the other one was over on Andover and,
Andover.
Yeah.
in Andover
And they were all,
Wildwood.
they were all corner lots.
correct.
Thank you, you don't have to stand here, sit down if you want to.
Thank you.
So I also have a question. So on Elm, basically every house has either a fence or a row of bushes at exactly that same line. As a matter of fact, this line of bushes or trees matches your neighbor's line.
That is a great question. I did some research in preparation for this case, and starting at North Parkway and then coming south, all of those fences were, for the most part, from the research I could find, in existence prior to the city becoming a city. The house at the southeast corner of North Parkway and Elm, there was a Plata survey on that fence dated in 1980 showing an existing fence on the property line replaced by permit because our code under the code says you can maintain a non-conforming condition. And then it appears that every single property had the same situation. And then over time, residents have planted hedges and stuff to screen their properties at that same line. So this is not out of character with the Elm Street frontages, in my opinion.
Yes. Thank you. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak to this case? If there's no one, then I would like to close the public hearing. We can have a discussion afterwards. So can I please have a motion to close public hearing 23-08V at 8:03 PM?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Any comments from the commissioners? I mean, Janet, do you have a comment? Can I say my comment first?
Yes, of course.
What I said before was, every single house on that street has basically a fence of some sort at that distance. It almost, like, to me, I understand that because it's a corner house, it's a lot of yard lost if we go by the code. It makes sense to me if there was a house that was facing the street, then we would be blocking.
A view.
We're blocking a view. In this case, we're not really doing that, so I am in favor at this point.
To that point, Chairman Kempa, this is a traditional straight corner side yard. We do not have the reverse corner side yard where the back of this property actually abuts the front yard of his rear neighbor. So the way those houses were platted, it was a continual side yard, so we don't have that unique situation of the reverse corner trying to protect the views out of the front of a house.
Right.
Additionally, this rear yard is more than far enough away from the corner and does not present a sightline or a safety issue as other requirements of the code would require us to keep a setback of 35
And
feet.
just so that I'm clear, the other sections of the fence are perfectly fine where they are located?
Correct.
Okay.
So I agree. I think it's interesting at Elm Street because those are all corners, right? There's only two houses on each block there. But, and so I don't think the views are a problem. I think the fact that you have a hardship about it going down the sidewalk is legitimate. I think your selling point, however, is that you're going to put in a 4-foot chain link fence. So I would just like to make that a condition of the variance, that we would allow the setback for a 4-foot chain link fence, because as we know, the variation is going to go with the property. So the next homeowner would be able to put up a 6-foot white vinyl fence instead, and get rid of all the shrubbery and not have to come back to us. So I would just like to make the condition that it would be for the 4-foot chain link fence that you're proposing, which I think is great. And you aren't going to see it because of the shrub border. And it's interesting, one of the houses that's further north that you're talking about used to have a huge shrub border, and it's all gone now. And now you see the fence where you never used to see it before. So I think, so that's, I think it's fine. I think you're going to, blending it in with the shrubs and blending it in with your neighbors is a good option. And I would just like to make that part of the condition of the variation then.
We good with that?
Yes.
Is the applicant okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So just so you're aware, at some point in time, you sell, your neighbor needs to understand that they're not going to get the extra 2 feet that normally would come. Understood, but I got to look down the line, so if that's good. The ZBA members have the right to add conditions to the application or approvals as they see fit.
Okay. If there are no other comments from the commissioners, I would like a motion to receive into the public record the evidence and testimony presented this evening.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sayward?
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff?
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons?
Aye.
Chairman Kempa.
Aye. Now I would like a motion to recommend to the city council approval of case number 23-08V, which is a variation to reduce corner side yard setback for installation of a fence, a 4-foot fence, from 25 feet to 10 feet.
For the construction of a 4-foot chain link.
Yeah, I was reading the wrong thing.
Oh.
With the condition that a fence is to be a 4-foot fence,
Chain link.
4-foot chain link.
4-foot chain link fence.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Chairman Kempa.
Aye.
This will be in front of the city council on July 10th. And I believe that's the Monday night, I don't know, just double check here. Yep, I was right. Monday night, July 10th, 6:30 here. Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do want to again compliment you on the
Yeah.
perfect application. You did, I didn't have to do a thing, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice night.
Our third public hearing is the case number 23-09SU. The applicant is a Forger Plus Prospect Heights LLC at 1313 East Rand Road, Arlington Heights. It's a public hearing seeking approval for a sit-down build-out of an existing 2,046 plus or minus square feet vacant retail space. The parking classification per code is class number 16. Based upon the requirement for off-street parking, the restaurant would require 21 parking spaces. The existing parking lots in front and rear of the property appear to be adequate to accommodate the required parking demand of the center. The existing parking lots need maintenance and striping to conform compliance.
So, thank you very
I
much.
need to
Go ahead.
open the public
Yeah,
hearing.
thank you, I'm sorry.
Can I have a motion to open the public hearing for case number 23-09SU at 8:10 PM?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Okay.
Floor is yours.
Thank you. As you're aware, this is the strip shopping center that is kind of out in front of the Tony's Prospect Crossing Shopping Center. Other tenants in there, we have a dentist's office, another restaurant, tattoo parlor, and there was two spaces. This will be the fourth space. There's one more smaller vacant retail space in the building. The owners have patched and striped, however, they will be committing to seal coating and crack sealing next year on this. Additionally, if you remember, should the demand increase, when we had the Susan's Place hearing a year or so ago, that there is some additional area in the backyard that can be paved to accommodate additional parking if needed.
In the rear.
In the rear. So we have a commitment from the property owners that even though there's adequate counts now, should the demand require more, they are committing to add that parking. So in review of the application, this is a different concept. We have not had a vegetarian restaurant proposal before. And additionally, it is fully for a sit-down restaurant with a separated off adult, eventually gaming usage. The applicant will be applying for a liquor license with the city council, but that's not part of our discussion tonight. Ours is on the sit-down restaurant use.
Okay. The applicant is here. If I could ask you to come up to the podium, I can swear you in. Do you swear that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You could please state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name is Snehal Thacker. I live at 657 Kathy Lane, Schaumburg, 60173. Thank you.
If you could present your case for us.
Sure. So, so we are in this business for last 4 years. We have few locations in northwest and southwest suburbs. And we were always thinking about opening up a location in Prospect Heights. In fact, before we opened our first location in Streamwood in 2019, we were actually looking for one location in Prospect Heights even before that, and that location was just across the street, Camp McDonald's and Elmhurst. There is a deli for the deli. The building was old at the time, and the ownership was not ready to divide the space to give us a smaller space for our use purpose. So the things did not go through. But it's just a circle. We just came back again after 4 years because probably it was in our destiny to work with the village again. So we are requesting a fully sit-down restaurant at 1313 East Rhine Road, which has a strictly vegetarian menu. We really promote the vegetarian food, and this is something new concept that we are coming with, and for that we are seeking for an approval.
Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
Any questions from the commissioners to the applicant at this point? Will you offer delivery?
If needed, yes, we do. Right, absolutely.
Okay. And are your other locations similar business model as this?
Some of them has, some of the villages do not require to have a full sit-down restaurant, so they don't, but some of them have.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
How long have you been in business?
4 years.
4?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. And we have 5 locations so far. And if approved, this will be our 6th one.
So did you say the vegetarian concept is new
For us.
for you?
For me, yes, because the other places we have a vegetarian and some of the non-veg, but we truly want to develop the vegetarian because I am personally vegetarian. Sorry. But this is actually a new concept for us, and we would like to, try this concept, in the market.
I have a question regarding the layout.
Sure.
So the intended gaming area, is it walled off completely to the?
Completely.
And there's like a glass door, or?
This will be an opening.
Okay.
There is no glass door.
Okay.
This is opening, 6 feet opening.
Okay.
With the arch, like a nice decorated arch.
Okay.
And specifically, this is made in front of the counter so that we can regulate whoever is going in.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Do all your restaurants have gaming?
Yes, we do. Yeah. So,
do all your gamings have restaurants? Is it the inverse be true then?
So the truth is that we would love to have multi-channel revenue.
Could I ask you to speak up a little bit louder?
Sure.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. So we would like to have a multi-channel revenue stream on the businesses. So the food is one stream of revenue, beer and wine is a second stream of revenue, third stream of revenue is video gaming. So they actually support each other well, and that is how we have grown. Honestly, since we started in 2019, we had a big 2020, breakout, right? COVID. God's grace, or whatever you can call it as, but we never had a problem of a revenue issue even though in the COVID situations, because we have multi-channel revenues. The only loss that we have got in the revenue is when we were in the state regulated shutdown where we could not even open our doors. That's the only time we did not have any revenue. Otherwise, we have not seen any dip in the revenue, even though there was a COVID. And that is, we strongly believe that is because of we have a multi-channel revenue, and that is what we are, striving for.
So all 3 of them have the 3 sources of income, of revenue?
Yes. Yes, we do. Some of them do not have the full-fledged menu, so they have like some snack items or pre-cooked sandwiches, not cooked at the same place. Pre-cooked sandwiches, we keep it and then we sell it. For those locations, our food revenue is a little bit less, But here, we are going to cook everything on site. So this is like a full sit-down restaurant. So we are actually expecting a good revenue from the food as well.
May I ask what your hours of operations are intended to be?
Sure. All our current locations are 9 a.m. in the morning till 1 a.m. On the weekdays, and on the weekends, 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. Because of the gaming, we would like to have the same business hours.
I'm sorry?
Because of the gaming element, we would like to have the same business hours.
Okay. Liquor's business, okay.
And how many employees are going to be at the location?
So we are going to hire 5 to 7 employees. They will be working in the shifts. At a time, it will be depending upon the rush. In the lunchtime and dinner time, there'll be more. But if it's a slow time, there'll be 1. That is how we are going to manage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said there's no age restriction and you're going to have a liquor license. So the high school is real close to there. Would you be encouraging high school kids to come over for lunch as well?
Sure. I would tell you that we have got, in the South Elgin location, they did what do you call that, as a, so they did the screening of our location. They actually sent underage person to make sure that we don't allow. We did not, because we checked the ID of everybody that is coming in, because of this element only. And we ensure that nobody under 21 is given the alcohol or given an entry inside the gaming area. We have also got, I did not have a copy of the certificate, but we also got the certificate from the South Elgin Police Department congratulating us that you followed the rules and regulations, so we are really thankful to you.
Are all your restaurants called Fortunes?
Yes, yes, sir.
So just for clarification, your restaurants that have food service have full ages, and kids or families, like during these hours, the students from Hersey could come over and have a vegetarian lunch if they so desire.
Absolutely.
Okay, just for clarification.
Sure, absolutely.
But you're not going to serve them a beer and they can't go in the gaming area?
Absolutely.
I will tell you, some of the kids that I've come across have asked for, where can I get a vegetarian, hummus and fruit, or vegetables or something like that.
It's very much developing. That's what we hear. The previous, before 5 years, I used to work for a company, and I had like about 7 or 8 colleagues, and 2 of them, while I was working there, 2 of them converted into vegan, not even vegetarian, vegan. So that concept is building up in people's mind, and we really try to promote that.
Okay. Any questions from the public? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Any other questions from the commissioners to the applicant? If not, then can I please have a, thank you, you may sit down, sir.
Thank you.
Can I please have a motion to close public hearing case number 23-09SU at 8:22 p.m.?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, let's start.
I would just like to include that other condition about the signage on the property to be brought in compliance, because it seems like we're getting more right-of-way signage instead of less there. And I think it's a hazard as you're pulling out of the driveway, because you're blocking the view to the left. Aside
So
from it
this is
not.
currently the dentist.
Yeah, and it's for lease signs, I think.
We have a hard time with the IDOT right-of-ways occasionally. However, the dentist one that we're under enforcement with, and the owners have committed to removing the signs. If the dentist doesn't, they're gonna pull them.
So this is nothing for the applicant, really?
This could, it's an ownership issue on this one, but you can put it in there, and then that will enforce me with the owner.
Okay, okay, we'll put it in.
At that point, I'm not sure if I'm following it. So like the Pizza Pavia, the one, those signs that say gaming, those flags and things, is that does that require a permit or?
Temporary signs require a permit. The practice of the city has been on a grand opening to allow, because under the square footage, they only get one for 60 days. But to encourage a new business, get their attention, the policy from the administration has been to allow them up to 90 days for a grand opening. For example, when Tony's was in, they had not just feather flags, they had pendants and other things. Right now, we've got a Wingstop that went overboard. They're being told to back off the number of signs they have there. But temporary, and a feather flag is considered a temporary sign. Pizza Pavia's will be coming down. They opened up mid-March. They'll be coming down here in the next week or two.
Thank you for clarifying that.
But if a restaurant wanted a temporary sign, they could apply for one, and they could have 60 calendar days during the year. So they could put it out. But we have like the Wings retail shop. They have sidewalk sales. They apply once a year, and they give me a schedule of when they're having their sidewalk, so they don't have to get separate permits every time. So it's all under one permit. Those types of things.
But that's not the type of signage we're talking about.
You're talking about the steel stakes with the plywood and the right-of-way.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Any other comments? If not, then can I please have a motion to receive into the public record the evidence presented this evening for case number 23-09 SU at 8:25 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Chairman Kempa.
Aye. Now can I please have a motion to recommend to the City Council approval of case number 23-09 SU, which is a approval for a sit-down restaurant build-out out of the existing 2,046 square foot vacant retail space. Parking classification per code is class number 16. I gotta read this.
No, you
Okay.
just, for the
So
restaurant.
the only conditions would be signage be brought up to code, the building permit will be required, the parking plan shall be submitted, reviewed, and completed prior to occupancy, and properly striped and signed handicap parking spaces are required for parking areas per Illinois Accessibility Code and City Code with minimum $250 fine sign.
I'll make that motion.
A second, please.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Chairman Kempa.
Aye.
This will be before City Council on Monday, July 10th. It's 6:30 PM, not 7 o'clock, 6:30 here. We will talk next week to make sure that because our liquor license, which is under the purview of the Liquor Commissioner and the City Council approval, has specific times. So we don't alter the liquor license hours to the business hours. It's the other way around. So we'll work on, because I believe, I don't think you're far off on the ices. I just don't have the schedule in front of me. All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good luck.
Okay. We want to do previous application updates.
For everybody's knowledge, T-Mobile and Crown Castle have gotten approval. They're staging right now to do the reinforcement and reconstruction of the cell tower. There's the only change from what was approved by city councils, instead of a solid shroud, they're having now a mesh or perforated to try and account for the unusual wind speeds, and they're adding additional reinforcement to the structure itself. So we were notified yesterday that they're starting to stage this week and then start construction next week.
So this is a fix, it doesn't require approval? of
No,
permits,
because the approvals granted by city council of the monopole
the existing monopole being reinforced with the shroud was already granted. Nothing's changed other than the type, the material of the shroud, or instead of solid perforated, so it was not as substantial and it had to come back. Good news, I met with the ownership of Bar Salado and did a walkthrough of the restaurant today. They're on target for an August 1st opening, and the place looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it looks good on the outside, too.
Oh, yeah, they're doing, the new addition on Rand Road has fold-up garage doors and come down that will offer open-air dining. And then in inclement weather, the garage doors. And it's a space-saver designs. Traditionally, if you've seen them at restaurants, they're traditional garage doors where you got a roll-up. No, these are hinged at the center point and fold up and out and then fold back down with drop, pull-down screens.
I hope they don't charge for ice water to pay for all this.
But this, for having my experience with the previous building and restaurant, there's no comparisons. This is a high-end quality, 1, 2, 3, 4 brick pizza ovens in there. They're going all in.
And no gaming.
No gaming.
Hallelujah.
And then
one revenue stream, oh my goodness.
So, let's see, the fences under permit for the Williams Way, the pool's under construction for Williams Way. So those are moving forward.
What's Williams Way?
That was the one with the fence in the front yard, or on the cul-de-sac, the last month one.
Wait, what pool?
Well, no, the pool's by permit, that didn't need a variation,
okay,
but the
right,
fence was
the
to use
pool.
the yard and protect the
Got it.
pool, so, it's a lot of projects. So things are moving along, and, that's all I have for this
Can
evening.
you give us an update on the fire?
Oh, okay. For everybody's information, Tuesday afternoon at about 12:30, we got a call that we had an active fire at the shopping plaza at Hintz and Elmhurst Road. Upon arrival, there was one alarm pulled and 5 departments already set up. It appears that it's an electrical of nature, don't know exactly where.
At which facility?
The Subway restaurant there had an electrical problem. We, right now, I had to declare all 12 units not approved for occupancy due to extensive fire, water, and smoke damage, and we had to have NICOR and ComEd totally disconnect all services. The good news is the property manager and ownership have already had their risk insurance folks in this morning. They are starting to let the tenant occupants, their insurance folks into the spaces on the units other than Subway, the barber shop, or Papa John's, in where that's where most of the structural damage is at. So they're working diligently to help their own businesses be able to get their claims filed. The Amcor Realty Group, the ownership they were on scene the whole time of the fire, working with their tenants, trying to assist them as can. Again, it's going to be a while. I would envision getting stuff starting as early as next weekend, preliminary reports. But at the end of the day, it was a full two-alarm fire, and approximately 20 agencies responded.
Was Nachos affected?
No, well, initially they were, because ComEd took the power out to the full block, full line. But they were able at about 6 o'clock Tuesday afternoon get power back. So they were in operation serving food at 6:30. So, which was good. The owner of Nachos was on scene, offering water to anybody that needed it. And I do want to say the Citgo, the Mexico Muffler Shop, and the folks in the area were just very gracious to help. Papa John's lost their business, and yet the district manager went to one of the other stores and brought 30 pizzas for the firefighters and everybody. So, they were very appreciative. The good news is not, there was one minor injury to a firefighter, that, minor injury, otherwise not a single resident, business owner, customer had any injuries. So, that's the good news.
So, anything else?
Nope.
How about on their zoning rewrite? Can I get an update on that?
Good question. We're putting a committee together of property owners, the ownership of Pelwaukee Plaza, Prospect Crossing, have committed to sit on the next focus group as we're selecting a number of folks that have gone through the variation processes. And we're trying to get that done just after the 4th of July. There's been some scheduling things with Mr. Blue and myself that didn't allow us to get it in yet. He has gone and reread the whole thing and has identified areas after our discussion that he believes we can make some progress. If you all remember, we had a discussion about types of variations that could possibly be handled administratively. And tonight was a fine example. We talked about things where, with the 200 West Willow, we didn't not do the notice requirement. We did not do the issues where the residents were deprived their due process of participating in the process. The applicant did an exemplary application that clearly stated that he went out and about, made sure all the neighbors, impacted neighbors were then. We had written concurrence in support of the application. We have a block which every fence in there was identical. There was no deviation to the character of the community. So in my mind, and this is one of the ones that I had identified early on, would possibly be eligible for an administrative to a point. If any single one of those other neighbors or anybody else had given an objection, we wouldn't not do the mailing. We'd still require them to do mailing, but it could be a public, to me, and if at any point any of the objections there were objecting to that, then that would trigger an actual public hearing. But this could have also too, could have saved him, because right now certified mail is $8.64 a letter. We are going to be requesting that we change our code to allow for first-class mail for all our hearing notices. What my experience has also found too is that since 2010, people don't sign for certified mail as much as they used to. Mm-hmm. They don't think it's something special. They think something's coming asking them for something. But that's just an example. If you remember the discussion of how could we make some things easier, streamline the processes, this case was probably in keeping with somewhat of that discussion. So we're going to talk about that in more detail. But goal is hopefully to, by the end of the summer, is to have something back to everybody for review. And then talk about what our text amendment changes are going to look like.
Good.
So, long answer for, basically, we're still in process.
Long process.
It is. I was in Arlington Heights and I was there 9 years and they still hadn't did the rewrite of the zoning code when I left. So it will not happen here that way.
All right, if there are no other comments, can I please have a motion to adjourn at 8:38 PM?
I'll make that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all.